want to go now to Tina Descovich, founder of the group Moms for Liberty, and the Florida State Senator Chevron Jones, a former high school chemistry teacher and the first openly gay man to serve in the Florida State Senate. So thanks to both of you for having this conversation, because people are having this conversation around the country. And right now, of course, the focus is on Florida. So Tina, Florida Republicans in these bills would ban the use of pronouns in school that aren't the ones that a child was identified at birth with. I guess the basic question to understand from your point of view is, why do you think this is something that is worth legislating?
Because schools have violated parental rights all over the state of Florida and around the country in this area. They have allowed students under the age of 18, as young as 11 and 12, to my knowledge, select their pronouns without their parents' permission or notification. Not only their pronouns, but they've allowed them to select which restroom they're going to use, where they're going to spend the night in overnight field trips, which locker room they're going to change their clothes in with which sex. You know, the institutions in Florida and around the country, the education institutions, have violated parents' trust. And so it's gotten to the point where these things have to be legislated. Senator
Jones, what do you say to that?
There has not been any in the state of Florida that we have not seen any outcry for this. We're legislating a farce right now. And when it comes to the education of our children, you know, I believe that every parent wants the same basic thing for their kids to learn truth and to learn how to understand and evaluate the world around them. And what we're doing right now, while we're not teaching students the basic things to read, basic things to write, we're sitting here legislating based off of whether kids want their pronouns talked about, whether we want children to be identified as they desire to. These are not things that are on fire here in Florida. The Republicans right now in Florida, Moms for Liberty and other groups, they are creating a farce that does not exist in the state.
Tino, you know, the House Bill 1223, which is one of the ones we're talking about here, also prohibits, as the reporter Layla was just reporting on, instruction on sexual orientation before 9th grade or gender identity. Now, that's long after many schools in the country teach some sort of sex education, which could start and usually starts in middle school. This would be a bit later. Why do you feel that is important?
It's extremely important. But first, I'd like to push back against the representative a little bit. This is not a farce. Our moms actually have some lawsuits in the state. Their children, this has happened to their children. The one thing we can agree on, though, is that all parents just want their kids to learn to read and do math and know history. Education is failing in our state and around the country, and we need to focus on the basics and get back to the things that are important in education.
So, Senator, let me ask you, you know, we're having this conversation about pronouns, and in a certain sense, it feels like it's a fig leaf for a much bigger conversation, but it's nonetheless, right, there's bills, and this is what's happening. Why do you think that it is wrong to do what Tina suggests, which is to say until a certain age without parental consent, a child will be known by the pronoun that is associated with their biological gender at birth?
Well, let's be clear that the spotlight has just shifted to Florida on pronouns. And let's be clear, last year, they said that K through 3 was the grade level that where sex education was being taught. They said they didn't want to go any farther. Now they said that we want to go to 8th grade. What's wrong with a child saying that they want to be recognized as they want to be recognized? Parents already have the rights that's already set within law, within state and federal law, where they have control over their child's education. I am still looking right now for any group, any politician to tell me what schools are there that are calling for these type of laws right now. They haven't come into my district. I haven't seen them come talk to the parents within my district. But yet and still, these are the issues that apparently have the entire state of Florida on fire, to where this is dangerous. Because what we're doing right now is that LGBTQ students are moving within a state that where they don't feel represented. They don't feel as if they are respected, and children and parents are sick of this back and forth that we're dealing with, where leaders should be leading in a state of 22 million people, to where we should be representing everyone, even the school board member herself.
So Tina, I guess I'm also trying to understand, because we're having a conversation about pronouns, and I know there's other things at stake, but if you're going to legislate pronouns, I just wonder what else you're taking out of Pandora's box, right? I know that lawmakers are looking to expand parents' ability to veto school material, but there may be something you want to veto that's the one thing I don't want to veto, and we're both parents. So what do you do if you just start over-legislating too many things?
Look, this started with somebody interjecting in public education that we were going to teach our children, our youngest children, that there's 37 types of genders, that they can switch their gender daily, that they can switch their pronoun daily. I've had teachers come to me and say, I don't know what to do. I am not going to call Susie a he today. I just can't do that. I know Susie's parents, and now I have to lie to Susie's parents. The situation we're in Florida and around the country with these issues is dire. It is a problem, and it must be satisfied with legislation.
Senator, what do you say to that? I mean, is this happening in multiple places in the state of Florida?
I want them to tell me where. I want them to tell me what schools. And I also want them to bring forth the children where this is happening now. While they are banning books, there are children within my district who can't even read. While they are doing this, there are children in my district right now who can't even sleep at night because they have nowhere to live. Where's that fight? Where's the Mother for Liberty who are fighting for the mom who can't come to commission meeting, who can't come to the state senate, who can't come to Tallahassee? Where are the moms who are fighting for those individuals? When they can bring those moms, then we can have a conversation. But until then, we are in a battle, not for anything else, but for individuals who are in power right now, who desire to do it because they can.
Well, there's a lot. This is a much bigger conversation than we're having here. But Tina, I just to understand better, are you saying there's multiple public schools in Florida where children are literally being taught that there's 37 or 32 genders, and teachers are being told to lie to the parents about the he, she, that this happens like in a lot of different places? Or is this kind of a thing that may or may not have happened in a few places?
Yes, ma'am. In many, many counties, in many, many places, right here in my own district in Brevard, until the laws were passed last session. I have not heard of it happening this session, this year, because the laws have been passed. My own school that I went to middle school with, the teacher has on the door, this is 12 and 13-year-olds, the teacher has on the door that she needs to be called they, them by a 12-year-old child who is confused by that. That's not a normal pronoun for a singular person. This is not complicated issues. We want to teach children to read. The representative and I are exactly right. And our moms are at the Capitol fighting for all moms to have the right to raise their children and teach them math and teach them to read. We need to fix this education system. And fighting about these issues is not going to get us across the finish line.
Well, no, I mean, these seem like separate things. I mean, I'm thinking back in the day, did you want to be Mrs. or Miss, or even when you go on order forms online, right? They give you a lot of choices. Is this really any different, Tina?
Yes, this is very different because there are two genders, and children we need to protect their innocence. They don't need to be confused with 37 genders at 5 years old. They need to learn phonics.
Senator?
We're not even teaching phonics in the classrooms right now. And the school board member, she should know that they moved that out of the classroom. And it's crazy right now that we're having this conversation with a school board member who should be representing all children. And it's unfortunate that we're using children as political pawns. It's also unfortunate that education, which is the greatest equalizer in all of this right now, that we are starting at the minds of children. And no, I'm not promoting that we teach children that things that they should not have, that they should not be learning right now. But what we should be having a conversation about is ensuring that children feel respected and they feel represented.
All right. Well, thank you both very much for having the conversation. It's important, and I'm glad that you could at least come on and have it together. Senator, thanks very much. Tina Descovich, thanks very much. Appreciate both of you.